You are listening to the Estheticians Earning More podcast with Brittany Hageman, episode number 123. Welcome to the Estheticians Earning More podcast. On this podcast, we talk about how to love your esthetician business without the hustle, exhaustion, or overwhelm as it booms into a successful business. I teach simple ways how to approach your business that gives you your life back while still growing a profitable business. I grew BLH Beauty in San Diego to a six-figure business, and I learned a lot along the way, which I'm excited to share with you here. So let's get started. Do you want to make $100,000 revenue in your esthetician business? If so, I would love to show you how. I want to invite you to coach with me in my one-to-one coaching program. It's completely customizable. The way that it works is we sit down and figure out what you've been doing in your business that hasn't been working, and then make a very specific plan that I help you follow over the course of 6 months to get it done. We meet weekly for 30 minutes and discuss exactly what went well that week and we're going to do next week, whether it's your pricing needs to be raised or you need to have boundaries with your clients, or if you need to learn how to sell skincare, or you need to niche down and you're doing way too many services and not making money, or all of the above. Whatever the issue is, whatever the reason is you're not making money, we'll figure it out together and we will grow your business into a really profitable business that's sustainable, that you love, and that really helps people. I cannot wait to be your coach and to work with you. To learn more, go to the link in the show notes. And with that, on with today's episode. I am so excited. Today's episode is a long time coming, as we talk about in today's episode, but I sit down and talk to my very good friend, Megan Wade. She's a sugarista in Lafayette, Indiana, and she talks about how she grew her business from barely covering her rent in her studio to being an owner of a multiple six-figure business doing only Brazilians. She's not only really good sugarista because she's fantastic, she's a great person. She's very honest about the struggles that she went through growing her business, and she's just the best. She's one of my favorite people. She's actually a close friend of mine, which is, if you listen to this episode, you may see a little bit more sillier side of me, a little bit more relaxed side of me, because Megan is one of my very close friends, and I'm so grateful that I met her and I've got to witness this transformation in her business. So enough about what I think about Megan. I can't wait to introduce you to Megan Wade, owner of Simply Sugaring in Lafayette, Indiana.
All right, Megan. So happy to have you in the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's been how many years have I been asking you to be on the podcast? 3 years, I feel like, since I started.
I feel like 2, because it was shortly after COVID that we started working together.
Yeah, and that's when I started the podcast. Yeah, so for 2 years, I've been saying, let's get on the podcast.
And I've been very nervous about it.
You're my first client ever in this business.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you are. So quick side note, Megan and I are friends, which we'll talk about as we talk about Megan's story. But let's start. I know your story for the most part, but I'm really excited to hear parts I don't know. So let's start at the beginning. What did you do before you got into the sugaring world?
I was a hairstylist.
But even before you were a hairstylist, what did you do out of high school?
I went to college and got an associate's degree. I wanted to go to beauty school, but everybody told me yes. Like, my dad literally said, what are you going to do? How are you going to make money doing $8 haircuts? I don't know where he decided I was going to do $8 haircuts. But, we were told that, that's what housewives do. Mm-hmm. That's what people who can't go to college do. You'll never make any money. Yeah. So it was a bad idea. So I racked up a bunch of student loan debt and got a degree that doesn't do anything for me. Mm-hmm. And then I got married. and
right.
played, which everybody forgets about because it's just this little blip in my life. Um,
I haven't forgotten. I
and
think it's actually a really interesting fact about you.
yeah, so it just feels like a totally different Megan. I was
Yeah.
pretty much like a housewife.
Uh-huh.
My ex-husband worked for Caterpillar, and he was in a program where we moved about every year. So we
Okay.
did Indiana, Georgia, Indiana, Illinois, and then we went out to San Diego.
You lived in Georgia? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Where in Georgia
Yep.
did you live?
I was probably about an hour south of you in this little town called Griffin, right by McDonough.
Okay.
Do you know where McDonough is?
I've heard of Griffin, oddly enough. I
Okay,
don't
yeah.
know where it is on the map, but I've heard of it. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. So then eventually you came out to San Diego
Yes.
with your
And we were
husband.
there for about 4 months, and I was like starting to actually see the world,
Okay.
outside of
Okay.
South and the Midwest. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I don't want to do this.
You don't want to be
So we
married
split
or
up.
you don't want to, okay, but you don't want to be married. Okay.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Because he didn't want me to go back and get a bachelor's. He didn't want to rack up the debt, because he
Okay.
made a lot of money. And I'm guessing in his mind, he just thought, you know,
Yeah.
I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
So then I was like, what's next? So I started looking at the schools out in San Diego. Bellis was still a thing then. I don't think it
Uh-huh.
is anymore now.
Okay.
There was City College
Mm-hmm.
and Paul Mitchell.
Yep. And there was another
And
one that's closed. A couple of them are closed. I went to City College, but you went to Paul Mitchell.
uh-huh.
You went to Paul Mitchell. Okay.
Mhm. Um, and I kind of regret that. I actually wish I would have like just gotten on the wait list for City College because Paul
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell was about $25,000.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because it's cool.
It's the brand.
Like you walk in, the music is loud, everybody looks smoking hot. We're not students, we're future professionals. We don't have teachers, we have learning leaders, you know?
College, I got my license, yes, but it was not a professional environment. It was cheap. So.
But did you learn? I feel like I learned everything under people. Do you feel like you learned at school, or because I think you worked under somebody for about a year doing
Yeah,
skincare?
I didn't learn anything at school. I learned how to pass state board.
Yeah,
Did you learn something at school?
kind of, kind of.
Kind of.
But it wasn't the environment I wanted to be in, so my
Yeah.
mindset wasn't really like, because I was in my late 20s. A lot of the girls are right out of high school,
Right. Me too.
and
Hmm.
it just wasn't my vibe. I did a lot of laundry.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to make friends in esthetician school, beauty school, outside of being that age group. If you're out of that age, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
But you weren't there to make friends. Did you know this is what you wanted to do? You wanted to be in the beauty industry?
Yeah, I did. I can't really tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still kind of like this, but I just go off my feelings. Does that feel good? Yes. All right, let's do that.
Yeah. Intuition. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then what happened? You graduated. Then what did you do?
I went on as an apprentice at this salon that was so, so strict.
Mm.
They had a UBS, the Universal Business System, and it had every single thing you ever needed to do. This was in Pacific Beach, so we were just a few blocks on the beach. So, like, one of my tasks daily was to go outside 5 feet west of the door and sweep in a diagonal forward motion until you were 5 feet east of the door.
What? I can't believe
Everything
you
we
still
did,
remember that. That's hilarious.
it was ingrained into us. We had a meeting in the morning every morning, and we did the Aveda. I don't know what it's called. It's not a chant, but kind of like the pledge, but like to Aveda.
Oh my
And
God. I didn't know there was a Aveda chant pledge.
Yeah, I guess it's like their mission statement maybe or something, but it was just incredibly strict. And I mean, I don't have a lot of good memories from there. They got on me a lot about my appearance and stuff. And I'm like, you pay me $10 an hour. Like, where do you want me to buy these really cool clothes? And like, this is the best I can do at my makeup.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
those but I felt stuck there, you know, like that's what you're supposed to do, and supposed to start at the bottom and pay your dues. And one day I just quit. It was just like, I can't anymore. I'm done.
Totally.
So then I went to another salon that was exactly the opposite. We watched Netflix. We did no marketing. There's nothing really going on. It wasn't very busy at all. So in between that, because you can't make it on $10, and a little bit before I went to beauty school, I was working at a place called Swanky Sugar, like as her spa coordinator.
Okay.
And I became really good friends with her, this and that. And I kind of left for a while. And then she's like, things are, falling apart over here. I wish you could still work for me. And I was like, I can. And she was like, well, then come learn how to sugar. And I was like, okay, I'm coming. So every Wednesday night I would go and sugar people for free, and until I got it down. It took me about 6 months, and then I was doing half and half hair, half sugaring.
What year was this? Do you remember?
Maybe 2011.
Okay, so 2011. Okay. So 2011, I had to figure out how long ago that was, because that feels like it was last year.
It does. It does.
I'm like, that just happened. 2011. No, that was not just happened. That was 10 years, 12, wait, 12
I don't know,
years
I do
ago?
skincare, not math. Yeah, probably
12 years
about
ago.
that.
Okay. So 12 years ago, so then you went from working one night a week just learning, now you were working doing a sugarista and doing hair as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what? How long did that go on? 6 months of that, you said?
I don't know. Maybe I kept that up for about a year, and then I realized I just love sugaring. I love sugaring. I love everything about it. I love that it's all natural, but I loved the interaction with the clients a little bit more. I like that they're typically quicker services. And I mean, the hair industry, especially in Southern California, is just really tough. Everybody wants to be very beautiful, very, very minimal price. And they get real sad when they show you an inspiration picture of Jennifer Lopez and you give them that hair, but they don't look like that, which is tough. It's tough because I gave you what you wanted, but even with the great consultation, and it's just getting worse, I think, in that industry with the Photoshop and all of those things. Even with brows, with sugaring, don't bring me a picture off of Pinterest, girlfriend. Like that is permanent makeup. That is regular makeup. That's Facetune. This is your eyebrow, girl. Like it's good. Right. Just clean it up. You don't need a whole new eyebrow.
Yeah. 1,000%. Yeah. That is a thing that I do not miss about Southern California. I do not see and hear where I am, the town that I'm in. I feel like people are just people here, and I really love that here.
Yeah.
There's not like people. Sure, some people look cute, but there's not this like hum of like beauty perfection that like you can feel the minute you walk around Southern California. Like, whoa.
Yeah, everybody's so hot. When did I become a 2?
Okay, back to you. Okay, so you loved the relationship that you have with the client. You love the short service. Okay, so then how long were you at Swanky Sugar?
So I probably went over there full time maybe in like 2013.
Okay.
And then 2017, I left kind of on bad terms.
Okay. Do you want to go more into detail about that or no?
Actually, kind of, yeah, because...
Yeah, okay. I think it's important. I think it's an important story.
Yeah. So I actually met Becky at Swanky Sugar 2 weeks after I moved to San Diego. I had no friends, nothing. She does my eyebrows. I didn't even know what sugaring was. And she was like, do you have any friends? And I was like, no. She's like, I'll be your friend. I was like, cool, let's be friends. And then also she was like, have you ever had a Brazilian? I was like, what is that? And she told me, and I got really embarrassed, and I was like, okay, I'll be back in 2 weeks. And I came back and got my first Brazilian. So that was like in 2010. Anyway, I'm working for Becky, this and that. And then unfortunately she breaks her right hand, which is the worst possible thing that can happen in this industry. It was terrible. Long story short, the communication was really poor. We handled ourselves really terribly. And there was talks over commission. It was all about money. And, we didn't communicate enough. So two of us ended up leaving. Because it turns out this wasn't the truth, but we were under the impression that she was taking our commission from 50%, which is incredibly high, down to 30% while her hand was broken. And we were like, you can't pay us less to work more.
Right.
That wasn't actually what she was doing. But the communication was so poor and everybody was so mad that, we all just left.
Yeah, you're right.
And then I lost that friendship. I lost that mentor, all of it. And we didn't talk again until this year.
Right.
And then we did a surprise vacation. We had somebody else plan it for us. We met together in Austin and we hashed it out. And it was really hard because all of us know that our businesses are our babies. And if you feel betrayed, if you feel like somebody cheated you out of money, if you feel like, it's just really hard for it not to be really, really personal. And this was kind of personal too. And so we had some really hard talks, and I feel like a real jerk about it. I think she does too in some aspects. And there's still like healing to be done around it.
Yeah.
Because those are the people you spend the most time with, are the people at work. Typically, I feel like that's kind of changing, but
yeah, no, I think that's true.
Yeah. So
then you guys now are friends again.
Yeah. And she's helping me as I'm growing my business because she has way more experience than I do. She's already made all of the mistakes. And even though I watched her make these mistakes, I still make them anyway. I'm like, well, it's different when I do it. It's not. And yeah, it's good. Sometimes it's hard. It's even hard to call her and be like, pretty much, I'm making money. I'm getting more successful, even though I know she's happy for me. Like, I know the reason I got there, a lot of it was her, I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe you can okay.
But why is it hard to tell? I think, I don't know her. I've never met her, but I feel like she would be happy for you.
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
She is. She's like, I would love to help you, this and that, especially since we just talked about it. And when we were on the trip, we had all of these ideas that we made up about each other for 5 years.
Yeah.
About why we left and how the other one feels and who's mad and all these things. And we just talked about it.
Yeah.
And she said, the truth is almost always better than the stories we make up in our head. Almost always.
1,000%.
And I was like, you're so right.
1,000%. The stories can be kind of vicious and crazy.
Yes.
They really can. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that you guys, I already knew this for the listener, that you guys had made up, but I remember because I met you in 2017. So we can go back to your story where we met, but it was painful talking about, and I was like, what, tell me your kind of like how you got here. And it was like you were like, well, I used to work here and it was falling out and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was always kind of like this very painful for you.
Yeah. She was my first friend in San Diego. She taught me how to do the business that I run.
Yeah.
And then everything in between. She was having babies. She was helping me through breakups, like friend breakups, like the crap in beauty school. There's everything moving.
All of it.
From Illinois to San Diego, she was there.
Yeah. Right. So then when I met you, I'm trying to remember, I learned about you because my very good friend Alyssa was seeing you and when you were in Coronado. So is that where you first went out on your own, with Coronado?
Yes.
Where is Spinky Sugar located? I'm not actually familiar with that. Where they are they in Pacific Beach?
Ocean Beach.
They are. Okay. So then how long were you in Coronado?
Maybe 6 months.
Okay.
I just kind of realized that wasn't my client. I moved out there thinking that it would be better than staying in the same neighborhood because San Diego has these little pockets and nobody wants to leave their pocket, you know?
Right.
And there was no sugaring in Coronado, but Coronado's very, very fancy.
Yeah.
And I am not. I am not. But it was a great place to start. It really was. Actually, the building was owned by Alyssa's other really great friend, Katie. Her mom owned the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I opened Bailey's Beauty in 2017. My first month was October 2017. And you came right after, I feel like. Were you there before me?
So I was in Coronado in 2017 into 18. So
okay, you
sometime in 18 I became your neighbor. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the listener, she was my next door neighbor in Bailey's Beauty. I was there and she was just moved in next door. And then I knew of you because my friend Alyssa, your client, was like, hey, she's moving in next to you. Yeah. It was just like kismet. So it
was perfect.
Yeah.
And Smiley, remember our neighbor across the hall that talked so loud 24/7?
It bothered you more than it bothered me. Because I had like spa music and a sound machine. I mean, there were some really funny people that we were together with in there for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People
it was a great space, actually.
It was.
It takes a lot of overhead away, all of the things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you moved in next to me, and I was going to ask you, what did you think of me? It's not about me. This podcast is about you. This is the problem with having like good friends of yours on the podcast. I want to talk about other things. But so how was your business doing when you moved into the place that we were at?
I was getting by, but I wasn't like doing well. Also, I thought you were fancy. Your room was decorated so nice, and I asked you, I'm like, wow, how did you do? You're like, Alyssa decorated it from Target.
My friend. I know we're telling us I have like $300. Like, I don't have a lot of money. Please decorate my room. And she was like, okay. And she like goes off and like comes back with all this stuff. And I was like, great. And everyone was like, the room's so nice. And I was like, thank you. I have no interior design help. I look at if you came to my house, you'd be like, yeah, you don't know how to design anything.
That's probably not true.
Oh, yeah. Alyssa really is the theme of this podcast, which is hilarious because she's not an esthetician. But okay, so I remember that you were getting by. You were like not there a lot.
No. Mm-mm.
You were not there a lot. I mean, I was there a lot and you were not there a lot. I kind of was worried about you and your business.
Well, I also didn't have any business hours. I just let people book whenever they wanted, and I would just come and sugar them whenever they wanted. If you wanted on Sunday at 6,
yeah, I could hear your door, and I'm like, oh, she's here. It's like, oh, she's gone. I could hear it go again, and like I could hear it quiet, and you were gone, and I was like, she's gone because I was going to talk to you as like my friend at work, and you were gone.
Yeah,
yeah. So you didn't have any business hours. How many clients do you think you had when you were at that location? Because how long were you there? A year? Not even a year.
I feel like I can't even answer you honestly because I couldn't have even told you in that time period. But I remember being like, calling my mom, being like, I'm gonna make rent. I made $300 today. You know?
Yeah.
That was a good day, $300 or $400. Like exciting. Call my mom.
Yeah. And I remember I was getting sugared by someone else. And I got sugared by you, and I was like, oh, this is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And we started trading, and you didn't like my facial.
I didn't like your extractions. Remember, I said, stop doing that. And you said, I've never had a client say that before, but I couldn't take it. I was trying. I was like a dog in the bathtub. You know, they like build up all of the stress and then it just came out. Stop. Leave me alone.
Not that hard. Like, get over yourself. You pull hair out of people's like labia. How can like you're telling me to stop over an extraction? I was like shocked. Get over yourself. It's not that much. Well, you do hurt 1,000 times more.
And I don't even have that skin for
you. Don't. I mean, probably like 2 blackheads that were just like not wanting to come out. And I just like let's go. And you were like, no. And I was like, oh.
No, absolutely not. Leave it in there. It's fine.
stopped training for that reason because like it wasn't that exciting for you. And I don't do the fluffy facials, and so you were like, "What is this?" Oh my gosh, so funny.
Man.
So again, for the listener, you're not for everyone.
What'd you
Actually,
say?
Alyssa, for the listener, like you don't, I wasn't for everyone. Like my style is not for everyone, right? Like, and
Uh-huh.
Alyssa, the person we've talked about a lot, my friend, she did not like my facials either. She wanted like a fluffy facial, and I was like, girl, I don't do that. She didn't like that, so we didn't. She never came to me.
Yeah, I pretty much just want a face massage. Just wash it.
Yeah,
Just
no,
let me lay here and, you know.
yeah, that's not for me. It's so boring.
Yeah. That's why I don't do facials.
Yeah, okay. So you were just barely getting by.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were in debt as well. You had
Mm-hmm.
like a
It
lot of
was.
financial stress. You were very financially stressed.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
And I just kept looking around thinking like, because I was living in a converted garage with a roommate.
I didn't know you were living in a converted garage.
Well, it was like it was the garage and then it became another bedroom with a
Yes, like an
bathroom. I mean,
OG
it's San
thing.
Diego.
Yeah.
They'll put
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
many, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
am I ever, the market's so saturated. Am I ever gonna like, so the prices have gone up now, but my main thought was like, what am I gonna do? Buy like a $300,000 condo in the hood? Like, I couldn't even afford that, you
I
know?
mean, now it's 800,000, which is like crazy.
Insane.
Okay, so you were kind of having this like crisis, for lack of a better word, where you were like, I can't really afford to live here.
Yeah, and I really didn't know if I wanted to live there either. But
Yeah.
I had a really hard time accepting that because who doesn't want to live in San Diego?
Yeah.
Like when you move, like how many people have asked you now that you're in Georgia, like, why would you leave San Diego? Why would you
No
leave?
one.
Really?
They all love living here.
Well, I have a different experience up here. They're like, oh, I bet it's so cool out there and the weather is perfect. And I wanted to fit that mold, I guess. Like I wanted to be that cool person in San Diego.
Yeah. And you've given up a lot to be there. You know, you had left a marriage, you had kind of gone against, like you had said, like your dad was like, what are you gonna do? $8 haircuts, like gone against kind of what people expected of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, if I can make this work, then everyone's right.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember like that. Megan and I also used to go to
Soup plantation.
Soup Plantation. They closed it. Do you know that they
I
closed
know.
it?
Mm-hmm.
We loved it because we were both on a budget and we could get lunch and eat as much as we wanted.
Yeah.
And we could talk about business and life. And that's kind of one of
Mm-hmm.
how our friendship really grew. So I was like, can we sit down and have like a date? Because we like would see each other for a few minutes, but it was never enough time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I felt like you felt like leaving San Diego was admitting that you failed.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that was really hard for you.
definitely. And the idea of coming back to Indiana was it's just not really where I wanted to be. But then I started when the idea started to come, like when I would go back and visit and see like the farm boys and hanging out with my high school friends and stuff like that.
Okay, so when did you make the decision to move back? So I think we kind of skimmed over that really quickly. When did you decide to make the decision to move back to where you grew up?
I had to be 6 months before March of 2019. So I can't count backwards, but I was like, okay, I'm going to move in 6 months.
So you made the decision, and I do remember you had a lot of anxiety around it. Like, is
Yeah,
this going to work? Is this going to be worth it? Am I going to hate it? Am I going to whatever, whatever?
because there was no sugaring out here.
Okay.
And then you have everybody in your ear, like your business is just starting to take off. How are you going to leave? Like you can totally make it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Did I say that? I don't remember.
I don't think so. I can't imagine you saying that either, honestly.
Yeah, I can't imagine me saying that either. And I also knew how much turmoil you were in.
It was just like a dark cloud over me every day.
Yeah.
Even
You
though I
were
was
like,
getting by, like,
yeah. You were just having such a hard time.
mm-hmm.
And I do remember the time thinking, I really want you to be happy. And if that means, I was like really sad that you were leaving because I really got attached to our friendship. And I was like, but I really wanted you to be happy. And I felt like if you were me happy in Indiana, that would be better than you being sad here or sad there.
Yeah. And I only plan to come back for like 6 months. Just put a dent in that debt
That's right.
and then
You
go.
didn't, yeah, because when you first moved, you started, I remember you were personal training.
Yeah, I was working at the gym. I would train in the morning and then I would go sugar at night.
And did you already open your own shop at first, or where were you working out of?
I was renting a room in a salon in town. The girl who used to do my hair 15 years before I
Okay.
reconnected with her.
And obviously the rent is so much cheaper. You're in Lafayette, which is near what college?
Purdue.
Purdue, that's right. Okay, I was going to say Purdue,
Yeah.
then I didn't want to be like not even close to where you are. Okay, so but the rent was cheaper renting that room.
Yeah. Well, actually, she told me it was going to be $145 a week for the room, and I was like,
That's pretty high, actually.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, actually, like I'd love to be here, but there was another space that I didn't love as much for $375 a month, so I'm just going to take that. I'm sorry, Mallory. And she was like, oh, well, I'll just let you pay $375. I want to be the first salon to have sugaring, and I was like, okay.
Good job, Megan. Good job. Okay, so you're paying $375 versus like how much were we paying in San Diego? I don't even remember. Was it
1,000?
Oh, was it 1,000 a month? Okay. Yeah, it's a big difference right there.
Right.
And then your personal training, I remember I talked to you, I must have called you. We must have had a phone date, and I remember you were saying, Brittany, I'm telling someone she needs to drink water, and she says she can't. She only can like the taste it makes her vomit. She only can drink like Fanta soda,
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew. And you were like, I can't live here. I can't do this.
Yeah.
You were not doing like Megan's story is so incredible. So I'm really trying to show how hard it was for you because people are going to hear your story and be like, oh, that's so, like look at her, that was so easy for her, but it wasn't. You really like worked to get where you are. I'm 1,000. So I really want to just like
so unhappy.
illustrate this.
So I moved into this like boathouse, I guess, behind an abandoned house.
Gosh,
and I didn't have a stove. It was like wood stairs to get down there that I would fall down all the time because they were like rotting. I'm almost sure, everybody tells me no, but I'm almost sure that the water from the shower was coming right from the lake because it always smelled like hot dogs. But my uncle was letting me stay there for free.
Right.
You know,
you were trying to save money. You like you just needed to save money and pay down debt. I remember that. Like that was your pure focus.
My old roommate Adam drove me out to Indiana and he left after 3 days. And on the 4th day, I called him and I was like, can I come back? And he was like, sure. He's like, I've left your room. I'm going to leave your room for a month. If you want to come back, just come back.
Yeah. Yeah. It was not good when you first moved. It was like, what the hell did you do?
Yeah.
Kind of. And you were just, whoo, it was rough.
Yeah, it was. And part of it was I moved back to my hometown and it's a really, really small rural farming town. Mm-hmm. And it got a little better when I moved down here to Lafayette, which is about 45 minutes south with the university and stuff. But really, I think the population's maybe like 5,000.
Yeah, it's a super small town.
Nothing to do. Go to Walmart.
Drink orange or Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Chicken fried steak.
You're like, Brittany, she won't drink water.
It's still a thing. I went hiking last weekend and my friend went in to get water and the girl said, somebody drinking water in Kunot? Never seen it. And we were both like, what do you guys hydrate with? I mean, I love soda. I'm not dogging on soda. Soda's been harder to quit than cigarettes. I love me a big bubbly soda.
Crazy. Okay. So when did it start to turn around for you? This was 2019. I know that 2019 was like a big year for me financially, and I always felt really bad telling you about it because you were just like trying so hard.
Mm-hmm. I don't actually know. Because it just seemed like a blur. You know, those really painful moments, they go away. Like, and then you're like, oh, I forgot. That was awful. Yeah.
Well,
I
then,
forgot
okay,
about
so
that.
when did you get out of that shop and get into your own shop? Or what was the next move you made? So you started sugaring. How often were you seeing people? Kind of tell me about that
I mean, I
in the hair
started
shop.
seeing people pretty quickly. I think
Okay.
that I opened up my first like storefront shop in October of 2019 because I
Okay,
remember
so
I bought a whole
quick.
bunch of candy and there was an ice storm for on trick or treat night. So, so March to October, I was renting a room.
Okay, so that was quick.
Mm-hmm.
You had enough clients that you could justify. And again, opening up a shop is cheaper than it was in San
Yeah,
Diego,
the rent was only 600.
right? Versus 1,000
Yeah.
for a little room.
Yeah, well, for the
Okay,
storefront shop.
for the storefront shop. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so now have your storefront shop. You start seeing clients.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start focusing just on Brazilians, or was that from the beginning?
That was after COVID. Because shortly after I moved into the shop, there was COVID. It was
Right.
2020.
And
It
how long were
just
you guys closed
slowly
for?
7 weeks.
Okay, so not super long.
No. I mean, it felt long,
Yeah.
right?
In the
But
moment, it felt horribly long.
um, I the first thing I did was ditch legs, and I can't remember when I decided to do that, but everybody told me I couldn't. You can't do that. You can't get rid of legs. And I was like, you know, I just don't. I get mad. I resent everybody that comes in here to get their legs done.
Yep.
So I took them off. And then I was like, I actually don't like doing your upper lip either. I don't like being that close to your face. So I'm going to take that off my menu.
Yeah.
And then I just realized like I'm passionate about Brazilians. That's all that I want to do. I love first time clients who have never had a Brazilian and they're so nervous about their labia, about the pain, about the stranger, like all the things. Because everybody likes to talk about their traumatic Brazilian experiences.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be
Yeah.
traumatic with me. Yeah.
So that's where you started focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
And how much money, do you remember how much money you were making, let's say back in San Diego, and then how much you started making in Indiana? Do you remember that kind of change?
No, because I was too scared to look at the numbers. I didn't actually start looking at my numbers until we started working together. As long as there was money in the account for me to buy the things that I need, then I was making enough money.
Oh my gosh, Megan, that's right. But okay, so when you were in San Diego, what did you call your business?
Studio Tumo.
Yeah. So it sounded like it was a yoga studio. I was super confused. I thought it was a yoga studio. And you're
Yeah,
like,
I
no,
don't
I
know
do
why I went with that.
sugaring.
Yeah.
You had told me the reason why, but you don't remember why. You told me, I forget as well.
I think it was something like an inner fire or something along those lines.
Okay. So, but then I remember you told me after the fact that you had like gotten a vision board and did simply sugaring, and you really started to like focus in on that. Tell us about that process. That
Everything
also
came true.
happened during this.
You know, I know I made okay, so I know I made $100,000 in the first year. Like brought it in. I guess I don't know because I remember that
Revenue,
being on
yeah.
my vision board.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Or something close. I don't know. I
No,
don't I
I
don't
think
know
you
for
definitely
sure.
did 100. You definitely did 100.
But I didn't know that. Like
Yeah.
it didn't feel like that because I wouldn't track anything. I didn't know what was going on. All
Because
the
you were
stuff.
focusing on your client.
Yes. And
Yeah.
just I think I stayed in that mindset of just trying to get by.
Yeah, I think you did, but I also think you started to believe you could do it.
Yeah, probably. Because
I
I
mean,
was thinking in the sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I showered before we got on here and I was like, you know, I'm going to go on this podcast and sound crazy because I literally believe I can do anything. Like I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Like
But
if I
you
want to be
didn't
a tattoo
before.
artist, like just draw a whole bunch, you know?
But you
No,
didn't before.
no. And I don't, I want to say a lot of it comes from like even starting 17, 18 years old,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially being like a high school dropout. like you're never going to make it. So, and it just sounds unachievable. $100,000, $100,000. Yeah, right.
That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. You kept saying that to me. It's a lot of money. And I was like, yeah, it is, but it also really isn't really.
Yeah.
Especially
I
when
mean,
you
it
just
is.
like are working.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the difference, like I'm trying to like pull back. It's harder for me to do it with you because I was in it a lot of it with you. So it's harder for me to see it more objectively because I feel like I was part of it with you and like in, seeing it more intimately. But it felt like when you were in San Diego, you were just trying to get by and you didn't have a vision and you were just kind of one foot in front of the other and kind of resentful of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it felt like once you kind of got your footing in Indiana, it wasn't this way at first, which is why I wanted you to tell some of those stuff, how hard it was. You were kind of like, I'm going to make this work. I believe in it. It's a great business plan. It's going to happen. And this is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
The money will come. It was like, you knew the money would come because you had paid off your debt pretty quickly. You thought it was going to take you a long time. It didn't take you any time at all. You paid it off, started being cash positive, and you were like, okay, like if I can do that, I can do it again. Like it's not that hard. I can do this. Right? Like I felt like everything was so hard in San Diego, and then all of a sudden in India, and you're like, actually, it's not that hard. Like you just it just like changed. Like your energy around it changed. And I think part of some of the manifesting that you were doing was part of that.
And I don't know if this will make sense, but it's almost like, and it might sound kind of silly, but I knew how to sugar. I knew how to take clients. Like nobody around here really had like online booking or anything like that yet, So I was, and everybody loved that I was from California. Oh my gosh, California, So that started to feel easier. Like, oh, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But then other things felt so much harder. Like I feel like the Midwestern life can be really hard. This sounds really ridiculous for all of you listening. So sorry, but like in San Diego, you don't have to mow your yard. You don't have to find a mower and a gas tank and push mow all of your yard. You don't have to scrape the snow off of your car. You don't have to shop for it. Like it's just there's other things you have to deal with that I forgot about.
Yes. Yeah, I think your first winter was hard. And then it was into COVID.
Yeah.
It was like a double whammy. It was like your first winter and then we hit COVID and you were kind of like, yeah, that was hard.
Mm-hmm.
So the
business was bringing me happiness.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. The business was bringing me happiness.
Right.
So yeah, that was like my happy place.
Besides COVID, did you notice a decline in business your first winter there? If you remember.
I feel like no, because I pretty much just tell people you're coming every 3 or 4 weeks.
That's
like,
right.
It's not a question like, when do you want to book your next one? Like, all right, let's get you on the calendar. Let's do 3-4 weeks. Or Tuesday's good for you?
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely did. And did you do that in San Diego? You didn't.
Probably not. Because I felt like it was pushy.
Yeah. So what happened there? Why did that change for you?
Well, I just realized people will say no.
Yeah.
They'll say no. I have to tell them what to do. I'm the one in charge right now. So I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you that you need to book another appointment. I'm going to tell you that you need to do home care. I'm going to tell you that you need to buy product. You have the option to say no. I'm not going to hassle you, but I'm going to tell you what you need, and then you get to make your choice.
And you definitely didn't do that in San Diego.
No, I didn't sell product or anything except for PFB. I had one product, but
it's a good product. I bought it. Well, I didn't buy it. You sent it to me. I haven't paid you for it, so
that's okay. It's your housewarming gift.
Yeah, so, but you I feel like you stepped into your authority. Like you got a different confidence. But I want to go back. You did manifest. You had a vision board. So let's talk about that. I think this can be helpful for people who maybe are in that state of mind that you were in San Diego, and then it switched. Because you tell me about your vision board. I didn't know about it until we started working together in 2021, and I was like, "Hey, girl."
Well, I know 2 things I put on there was $100,000 power, and that happened. The funny thing on the vision board was I wanted a lake house, and I 100% got that lake house. Now, was it a shack with hot dog water? Yes. but it was on the lake. It had a beautiful lake view. Like everything on this vision board came true. I'm trying to think what else was on there.
When did you make it?
What'd you say?
When did you make it? You remember?
Before I left San Diego.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And how often were you looking at it and thinking about it?
Oh, all the time. I put it right above my like full length mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just decided this is what I'm doing. And if you just it sounds nuts, but if you just get into the mindset that this is what I'm doing,
what you're doing, there's no stopping you.
Yeah.
So then we started working together like late spring 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I remember because Colette was still a baby.
And I was seeing a therapist, but all I would do the whole time my therapy appointments was bitch about work being out of control. And she was like, I'm not a business coach. I don't know what to do. And I was like, oh, this is terrible. Because I didn't have control over anything.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? What did you not have control over?
I don't know how other than to tell you like how I fixed it. Like outsourcing, hiring people, tracking my income, getting a bookkeeper, things like that. Because I'm not
having
a bookkeeper.
Boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just being really communicative and knowing that like I'm not a jerk by communicating that you need to be on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember people would come, and one of the things that you and I worked on was they would come and want to use the bathroom when their appointment time started. And you're like, no, you have to come early if you want to use the bathroom. You can't come and use the bathroom the minute you get here and it's also your appointment time. Like, that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm. I think I only had the one phone too, right?
Yeah, you had one phone.
So I was just constantly bombarded by people. There was no rest from work.
You get so mad at me, be like, this person texted me again. I was like, then don't text them back. Like, but they didn't respect me. I'm like, it's not about respect. They're not thinking about you.
No, that's the thing. Yeah.
What did you used to say? They're the star of their own show.
They are. Yeah, we are all just stars of our own show.
All of us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you started to make money. Multiple six figures by this point.
Man, by 2021, you were making uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know. This is going to make you a little. We don't have to say exact figures if you don't want to. It's literally your business. But you started to make multiple. You were making multiple six figures when I started working with you professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have any idea of how much you were making in San Diego a year?
I want to say maybe $4,000 a month or something.
Okay, so not even 4 times 12, so not even like $50,000 a year as a business revenue.
Oh
no. And then you went from that to making multiple six figures by yourself, and you still work by yourself. You have no other sugaristas,
right?
Yeah. So let's just like let them all have a minute to have their minds blown. Just hear it. Megan's like,
why do I feel a little
mean.
uncomfortable? I am. Because it goes back to the stuff we talked about in coaching. I had this idea that people who make money are jerks.
Yeah, that's right. You did have that idea.
Yeah, I'm not a jerk. I'm not.
No. Yeah, that's one of the things we had to work on, because we raised your prices, and you also took away tipping.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we talked about like that whole idea, because I think that's also an idea that's ingrained in women, particularly because if you make money, you're obviously going to be a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in scarcity, the money was going to go away. You were really afraid it was going to go away.
Yeah, I'm still struggling with that right now.
I know.
I am.
And I think that's really important though for people to hear, because you are making way more money than you made in San Diego, like 5 times more money. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know if that's actual number, people. No one quote me on it, but a lot more money. And you have the same fears that you had then.
Remember when I called you?
Change it.
I had gone down to Florida for my birthday, and I went to that nice resort. And I was out on the beach in the chair, and I was like, I wonder how much this chair is. And I was like, well, maybe I should go across the street to CVS and get a pre-made sandwich instead of eating at a restaurant tonight. And I told you about it when I got back, and you were like, what are you talking about? Why would you do that? Like, the chair is probably included, and like, you really were going to be on vacation for your birthday and have a pre-made CVS sandwich? And I was like, all I did was lay on the beach and think about, well, how much is this? How much is that? How much is this? We're not at work. We're not making money. All we're doing is spending money.
Right. You had a really hard time spending money on yourself. And I was like, Megan, you have plenty of money. You can spend $50 on a meal or whatever. It's not like but that's the thing is like, I love teaching this because your situation changed. You are making so much more money than you ever have made in your life that you even were exposed to as a child, right? Like your parents didn't have a ton of money.
No.
Completely different amount of money you've ever seen. You still are. It's consistent. Now we're in 2023. You're still making the money that you were making, if not more than when you and I worked together in 2021.
And I still have a scarcity mindset. I'm opening a new shop, and I have to buy a bunch of paint and flooring and stuff. And I'm constantly like, well, I better eat ramen tonight. And I did. 2 nights ago, I ate ramen.
You texted me and asked me if the floors needed to be a certain way. And I was like, no, they just need to be clean, Megan. They don't have to be like the high price, whatever. It's fine. Like, come on, get out of here with this.
I just think it's important to say, like, I'm not all healed. Like, it didn't just go away. It still comes up. I'm able to kind of observe it. Like, oh, okay, we're in a scarcity mindset. That's fine. Do that for a little while if you want.
Yeah.
I think we made a rule after the Florida thing. Like, I remember I would do all these calculations that didn't even make sense because I can't do math.
Oh my God, the calculations. I was like, stop with the calculations, Megan. The calculations make no sense. You're not barely paying rent and have a big debt payment you have to make. You have to do the calculations to actually survive. Get out of here.
So I think we came up with the rule that I was allowed to do calculations for like 10 minutes or something. So I'm kind of still there where I'm still doing I was sitting at my desk yesterday with my employee across from me calculating, well, if this costs this much, or if we work, because I was like, maybe I'm going to change my hours, and so I was like, okay, if I take this many clients, if I work this many hours, all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what, Megan, if you need to do that, go ahead and do that for a few minutes. Right. Just don't run with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Your brain is still going to try to protect you always, forever and ever.
Yeah.
You could be making $5 million a year, and your brain could still be like, we cannot afford lunch. We have to go to CVS and buy a $2 sandwich. Your brain's gonna still offer that because there's trauma there, right? There were periods of your time in your life where you really needed money and you didn't have it.
And there were periods in my childhood where my parents didn't have any money, and it was a huge secret. We pretended in the house, and then all of a sudden they were filing bankruptcy. And it was like, wait a minute. I'm so confused. Yeah. Nobody, like, my parents and I and my brother and my parents, you didn't have the relationship where you talk. It's so secretive. I feel like still in the Midwest, we don't talk about these things.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's also bad form, right? Talk about money. It's bad taste. It's not polite.
Yeah. But I love it.
Yeah. As you should. You've accomplished more than you've dreamed of, and you still will.
And I'll still go to Lowe's this afternoon and do calculations and have a scarcity mindset.
Yeah. But I also think, I think it's also fine to do calculations and figure out, like, is this what I want to spend on something? I think it's fine.
It is if you're actually know how to do the math. But if you're just calculating just to see how big the numbers are, then...
Yeah, I know. I remember the numbers you'd send me and I'd be like, those numbers don't number. Okay, that math isn't math. You're just making, like, you're literally, my husband does that too, but his numbers actually make sense. Yours don't. It was like just complete, it was just anxiety. It was just like anxiety calculating.
Yes.
But I feel like the difference between Megan in San Diego and Megan here today isn't that you completely gotten rid of the scarcity mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's that you started to believe in yourself and take action believing in yourself every day, believing you could
Mm-hmm.
do it, and then learning to deal with those feelings when they came up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference.
Right. Yeah.
You
Because
know, that's
when I first meet a client, I say, if they're really nervous, I'm like, hey, I'm blah, blah, blah. I take them back to the room. And then they're still really nervous. I'm like, listen, I'm really good at what I do. You're going to be
yeah.
really fine. Because I am. And I remember my first employee, remember I wouldn't hire an employee and you were like, you have money. And I'm like, no, I don't. What about OSHA? And you were like, what? What does OSHA have to do with this? I'm like, I don't know, but they'll probably come and get me. I remember I said it and I came out of the room and she was like, I can't believe you just told that person you're really good at this. I'm like, why wouldn't I tell them I'm really good at this? I am. I'm really good at this.
Yeah, you are.
I'm actually getting kind of good at the other things too.
You are. You're getting really good at the other things. I know Megan was supposed to visit this weekend and she couldn't because of life. And I was like, can you bring some sugar? Sugar, because it's never, she is really good at it. You're really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like that confidence is what created the multiple six-figure business that you have.
Yeah. And just making all the mistakes and being fine with making the mistakes.
Yeah. What mistakes have you made? We only have a few more minutes. I don't want to go over our time too much, but what mistakes do you feel like you've made in your business, the biggest mistake?
Not hiring an accountant.
Yeah.
Hiring a best friend. That was a poor move. You always think you can work it out. You can't. You can't. Maybe and other people can. It's just too many feelings. You got too many
What
feelings.
best friend did you hire?
Remember Abby, the first girl?
Oh, that's right. But we worked together. You hired me.
Oh, that's true. But you weren't working in my shop.
Yeah, I wasn't your employee. I was like an independent contractor that you hired for consulting.
Mm-hmm.
But still.
And I hired her with no job description. I was like, you work here now, figure it out. I'm in the treatment room.
That's right. That was the first Megan, the way that your business, let's go over your business plan really quickly before you go into mistakes. You have 2 rooms going.
Mm-hmm.
So you have someone working the front desk who's getting the room ready for the next person so you can go back to back. And then they check them in and they check them out. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You describe it. Yeah. So how many Brazilians do you do in an hour?
4,
right. So you have their 15-minute increments. And so you have someone else that checks them in, checks them out, and then you just go back and forth from room to room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The rooms are virtually identical with sugar, everything already ready to go. So you just can literally walk back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's how you can make the money that you're making. How many hours a week do you work generally
22.
On clients, 22 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Amazing.
I'm about to have 2 more rooms. Bring on some sugaristas. We might have to work together again.
Woohoo! Let's go. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Okay, mistakes really quickly before we talk about what you want to do in the future. So you didn't hire an accountant. You hired a best friend. I think the problem was you had no job description, no expectations.
Yes.
Okay. What else?
I had no business hours.
Right.
I pretty much let the clients control the business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then when it started getting busy and I got overwhelmed, then I was mad at them.
Right.
Because it was out of control, because I never set any boundaries or anything like that. Because I just showed up. I just want to sugar you. Just come in and let me sugar you. And then you'll love it. And then we can work together and I'll make money and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But I never really thought I would get to the point. I don't know. I don't know about anybody else, but you get these goals like, I'm going to make $100,000. But it's not real. You're like, that's not actually going to happen. Like, we don't actually have to plan for like after we make that $100,000 because are we actually going to get there?
Right. It's this elusive number that's like virtually impossible.
Yeah.
It's like saying you're going to make $500 million. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
How many people have actually made $500 million? Not many. So let's not say that that's possible. But it is possible. People do make it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real thing out there. And so then you did make $100,000 in less than a year.
Yeah.
2019, you ended up making $100,000. 2021, you were actually, I mean, you went to multiple, I think, within in 2021. In 2021, you for sure were doing it. I think in 2020, you did multiple six figures, or you're pretty close.
Well, I wasn't really tracking.
Yeah.
Oopsie. Yeah, that was a big thing. I was so scared of the money. I wouldn't check my bank accounts. I wouldn't check the numbers that were coming in or anything like that. Tax time was really, really scary. There was a lot of tears.
Yes. Yes. But you got through it. You figured it out. You did that.
Mm-hmm. Another big thing I was doing was comparing myself to everybody around me.
Yeah, you were.
And it's not, it was my journey, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you picked up your business and put it in San Diego, you'd be just as successful there as you are in Indiana. I don't think market saturation has anything to do with why you weren't as successful in San Diego.
Maybe. I can't picture myself living there again. Just can't.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm just saying a place that's saturated with sugary stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, I don't even worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
I have a plan in place and I make it really easy and I'm super straightforward. There's no questions.
Yeah. So yeah, you could be in the middle of New York City. You could be in the middle of anywhere that's really, lots of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And you would still be, people would still come.
Banging them out every 15 minutes. Come on, get in here. Let's do it.
Okay, so what's next? So you said you're going to get this new shop, right? We're going to a new shop.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Multiple rooms now. You said 4 rooms?
4 treatment rooms, 2 offices, 2 bathrooms, and a break room.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking about hiring 2 at the same time.
Yeah.
Which I've told that to a few people, and one person said, how are you going to pay them? And I thought, I'm so glad I am in a different mindset, because a couple years ago I would have been like, how am I going to pay them? Well, I'm going to teach them how to do it, and they're going to bring money into the business, and then I'm going to write them a paycheck. That's how I'm going to pay them.
And you have lots of money.
I don't know. I told you I'm in a weird place right now, but
we're not showing this video. That's always what I tell my people when they come on, like, no video, so give the camera ready. But I wish we could show the video to show your reactions to some of the things that I've been saying, because it's so funny.
I can feel my shoulders kind of moving and my hands cover my face, and I'm like,
you just
want to be like, no, I don't.
Look on your face, like, what? Like, as if I'm saying, like, you live in outer space.
Yeah.
What? What did you just say? Why are you saying these things again? They're so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. But it's true. I mean, you're not worried about paying them because you're good at your job. You're good at teaching. You're good at it's going to be fine. Even if they don't work out and whatever, like, you're not going to not be able to pay rent and buy food for yourself and all the things. Not a thing.
No. And my goals have changed now. My goal right now is to teach my dog some manners. Oh, sorry.
You were saying your goal.
My goal right now is I want to create this new space. I want to I have like a new front desk girl. She's been with me for about a month. And I want to be the place girls get out of school and they're like, I want to work there. The way my space looks, the way the community is. Like, one thing that when I was hiring for front desk that I knew I could offer is my clients are amazing. Nobody's going to bully you. Nobody's going to give you a hard time. You're not going to have to argue with anybody. I have built the most amazing group of women to come to my business. So you want to work for me. I'm telling you. You don't know it yet, but as soon as the flooring is down, you're going to want to be working at my shop on my payroll.
How did you build this? Let's end here. How do you build amazing clients?
Authenticity and communication.
Yeah. And clarity. And you were clear with boundaries.
Yeah.
What we do here, what we don't do here.
Yeah. And if you don't do what I do, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can totally go somewhere else. If you are a late person, that's totally fine. There is a provider out there that runs late. They're happy you're 5 minutes behind. It's cool.
Not you.
Not even a little.
I think like, yeah, you are authentic and you're confident. You're confident in what you do. You're authentic. You are who you are. You're very clear with your clients about what they need to do to be a client of yours to get results.
Mm-hmm.
You essentially have a sugaring program. You built a sugaring program where you're like, this is what we do here. This is how much it costs. This is the home care and skincare you have to buy. This is how often you have to come. You have to come on time. If you want to use the bathroom, you have to use it before.
Mm-hmm.
And you just also love them so much. They feel so comfortable with you. They don't feel like they're half naked with you.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite parts of the job. I'm like the crypt keeper. I mean, you come in, you take your pants off, you're so vulnerable. Why not tell me all your secrets?
Yeah.
And then I don't have to be involved in it. I just know, and I want an update, in 3 or 4 weeks.
You are the crypt keeper. I think we all are in some ways, estheticians. Like so many secrets. I've never been told so many things than when people were on my table. Never in my entire life.
Yeah. I love
never,
it.
Never have had that much people divulge things with me. Well, you're amazing.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. As a friend, as a former client, you were making money. I didn't teach you how to make money, but I think you just need to help with the boundaries and this mindset stuff with me. But you did that all on your own.
You just made it so much easier to be able to handle it. You can read all the books and all the stuff and all the things, but I don't know. And I just like to talk things out. And realizing that like business Megan and personal Megan are always going to intertwine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing you taught me that I think about all the time is annoying to me is your brain can have 2 thoughts at the same time. Like I know that I have money for flooring, but when I go to Lowe's later, I'm going to be like, $2 a square foot. Can I afford that? And I can just know that I can have both of those thoughts. Neither are right the right one is that I have the money, but neither are really right or wrong. You know what I mean? Like it is expensive and I have the money to do it,
Yeah. And both can be true. You can feel nervous about having to spend the money and have the money to spend, and you won't be on the street. I'm laughing because your eye like darted out and back, like, no, it's not. I'm gonna be okay. You're naturally wanted to not believe that thought. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's what we do here. Well, I just so appreciate your time, my friend.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad we could finally do it. And it really wasn't as nerve-wracking as I thought it was going to be.
I know. I mean, I'm bad at scheduling people actually to get on my podcast, but you did not. You were just dragging your feet as well. So it was a double edge. But I got you on because you're like, I can't come to visit. I was like, well, I guess you have to go on my podcast then. So
I know you got some free time. I am going to make it to see you though. I promise. It's coming.
I believe you. All right, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for making me feel special. Thanks for helping me build my business.
Thank you. You're so special. You're such a special friend to me. I'm so grateful for you.
I am too. I'm so grateful for you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, if you like this podcast, please rate and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. I cannot tell you how much that helps my podcast grow. So you can click 5 stars if you like it and you want to give me 5 stars. And please leave a review about telling me why you like it so that I can help other estheticians grow their business. Thank you so much.